This is Stuff You Like, you can call me Ursa, and we've hit a Patreon milestone, my pretties. Oh yes. Last time that meant terrible green screening and singing and dancing like you're in the Anglican church. This time though, we're gonna talk about Good Omens, because come on, Angel, what else would you review for your $666 milestone? So Good Omens, it's generally wonderful and also a really good apocalypse story. Good Omens is a story about Lower Tadfield, the Antichrist, and the end of the world, sort of, and was written by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett and published in 1991. The 1991 thing is important both because it's an example of early-ish work of theirs and also because it makes a lot of jokes about car phones, tape decks, and best of Queen albums. There is an unabridged audio drama version, but a couple of years ago they did a radio adaptation where they updated it to the modern day, and it was so smooth and so seamless that you would hardly have noticed. In the novel itself, Hell talks to Crowley through the voice of Freddie Mercury from the Best of Queen album that all tapes turn into if you leave them in the car long enough. In the updated version, they just hijack the voice of whoever's on the radio at the time.
Thank you, Mr. Tyler. On to our next gardener, Crowley.
Eh?
Crowley! Armageddon has begun. The Infernal Council notes that you avoided the forces we empowered to collect you.
It's kind of brilliant. The plot of the book, which is what we're talking about today, goeth thusly. Due to a bit of a mix-up, the Antichrist does not, in fact, end up in the care of the US cultural attaché and his wife, overseen by a demon and an angel. Nope. He ends up with a completely normal, boring English family in a little village called Lower Tadfield. And he grows up a completely unremarkable boy, except for the fact that he can kind of shape reality around him. Both the forces of heaven and hell really want the apocalypse to happen, except for the angel Aziraphale and the angel who didn't so much fall as saunter vaguely downward, Crowley. And so Az and Crowley are trying to track the Antichrist down and prevent the apocalypse, along with a few other people. Like the witch Anathema Device with her book of nice and accurate prophecies, and the Witchfinder Army with Shadwell and his new apprentice Newton Pulsifer. On the other hand, forces are abroad who don't really mind if the apocalypse happens. That's what they've been waiting for, after all. And so you've got war, death, famine, and pestilence. Or should that be pollution nowadays? All ends happily, I feel you should know, but also all ends ineffably, because no one really is entirely sure if this wasn't the divine plan all along. I mean, you get the Metatron, who's the voice of God, but I've only ever seen him in Dogma. Snip, snip. Metatron snip. Regardless, it is an excellent apocalypse. But Ursa, I hear 95% of you cry. What kind of an apocalypse is that? The world didn't end or anything. There aren't even motorcycle gangs with punk hairdos. Well, first of all, there's a very small motorcycle gang who may or may not have punk hairdos. Plus, as the 5% of you who've watched Plus Points will know, that's not exactly what the apocalyptic genre is about. Or at least that's not what it used to be about. Apocalypse is about things which are hidden, veiled, soon to happen. Apocalyptic literature is about revealing those things which are currently hidden or soon to happen and making some kind of sense of them. The fact that it does this through masses of bonkers-sounding symbolism is a feature, not a bug. Honest. Okay, but how does that make Good Omens great apocalyptic literature? Well, because it's a revelation. It's just a humanist one. What is revealed by the actions of Adam and the them and everyone else is that free will has to be a thing, and that people need to be better to each other, and that people need to sort out problems before they die, rather than assuming that it'll all get sorted out afterwards. And that supernatural interference to save the whales will just end up with a bunch more dead whales later, and really it's just better for humanity that they know that if you kill a whale, what you end up with is a dead whale. The last one makes sense in context. Honest. Adam is able to shape reality to his liking, but because he grows up with loving parents in a positive environment, the world he shapes is Lower Tadfield, with its crisp autumns and hot summers and snow every Christmas, a place where no motorway will intrude nor supermarket chains sully. Adam's fall from grace is when he discovers, via Anathema and her hippie magazines, that the world outside of Lower Tadfield is full of really horrible things as well as nice ones, like nuclear waste. And dead whales. And the realities of nuclear waste and dead whales upset him so much that it nearly kicks off the end of the world. But when he decides that the world should just end and then he can make it all over into a better place, and he's dividing up the world among his friends, they ask him which bit he's going to get.
You've divided up the world, right? So what bit are you gonna have?
I'll have Tadfield.
Eh?
Tadfield?
And Lower Tadfield. And Norton. And Norton Woods.
Is that all? They're all I've ever wanted.
Because he's a child, and a very, very human one at that. When we hit our Patreon milestone, I asked everyone, why is it that you love Good Omens? And why does it get dropped in the bath so much? You loved a lot of things about Good Omens. You loved Az and Crowley. You loved the way the two authors' styles interacted. You loved the footnotes. You loved famine. You loved the British sense of humour. You loved the positivity and the fact that the world and humanity were considered worth saving. And you loved Az and Crowley. I know I said them twice, but you really, really loved Az and Crowley. A couple of people really liked how the book poked fun at the whole Christian end times theology, and I'm not really terribly keen on the whole future literalist reading of Revelation, so I get that. But what surprised me most about Good Omens is its respect for the source material. Because it pokes fun at biblical literalism and symbolism-heavy future-telling using Revelation, but it also takes place in a world where all of those things could be literally true. I mean, it starts with the literal Adam and Eve in the literal Garden of Eden with the literal angel with the flaming sword. It takes place in a world where death and war and famine and pestilence as archetypes really exist, and yet they and the devil and the end of the world itself are defeated by humans and their humanness. And that focus on humanity and the worth of humanity is, in one person's opinion, why it keeps getting dropped in the bath so much. It's comfort reading. It's funny and familiar and tells you that for all of the disasters and horrors that we inflict on each other, humanity is worth saving. We are worth saving. And that belief in the goodness of humanity shines through the book and makes us feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And I think that's beautiful. Did I mention you also love the shipping? You know what? I don't think we've talked about that enough. So come back in a fortnight where we're going to talk about Az and Crowley and shipping and why they are so popular and all of that jazz. Anyway, that's all for this episode. So like, share, subscribe, Patreon, and I will see you all in a couple of weeks.